Welcome back to another episode of A Closer Look, a show where we take a look at something that interests us in the Upper Valley. I'm Donna Giroux, the Executive Director at CATV, and with me today are two delightful women. There's Jean Brown. She's the Executive Director of the Friends of Norris Cotton Cancer Center, and the Prouty Event Director, which is actually a huge job. We'll have a discussion about that. And also with me is Karen Reynolds. Thank you, Karen, for coming as well. She's the 2019 honorary co-chair of Prouty and the founder or co-founder of the Row for Prouty or Row the Prouty?
We call it Row the Prouty, but not really for any good reason.
Welcome, ladies. I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm sure all the locals know of the Prouty or have heard of the Prouty probably a million times because you've been doing it for quite a long time. But for the newish residents in the area, they have no idea what the Prouty is. So I was wondering if one of you ladies would like to talk about just an overall of what the Prouty is. Jean?
Well, you'd be surprised. Some people actually don't know the Prouty, and we're always getting new people into the neighborhood. So I'm delighted to tell you that the Prouty is a fundraiser for Norris Cotton Cancer Center, and the money goes to support cancer research and patient services right here at Norris Cotton Cancer Center. And the event is named after a patient. So most people go, what's a Prouty? What is that? So it's Audrey Prouty. And Audrey Prouty fought ovarian cancer for 9 years, and she died in 1982. And her nurses, excuse me, were so impressed with who she was as a human being and as a patient that they told her that they were going to take their bicycles and ride 100 miles through the White Mountains in her honor to raise awareness and money for cancer research.
Well, I'm sure she was delighted.
I'm sure she was. She didn't live to see it, but her husband helped. She died, and then they had this ride, and John drove what they called the sag wagon, which was a truck that could help the bicyclists if they needed repairs or if they needed food or beverage or resting or something like that.
When they're sagging.
When they're sagging, exactly right. So this is an event that's now happened. It's going to have its 38th year on July 13th.
It's really, so when you said research and patient care, is it local patient care and local research, or is it research depending on where? Yeah, I'm curious.
So glad you asked. It is patient services, which is different than patient care.
Oh, okay.
Patient care would be treating for would be paying for your treatment and your chemotherapy and surgeries. Then we don't do that because we'd run out of money in about a minute. So what we do is help fund the patient services department at the hospital, and then make possible support groups, massage therapy, writing, art, music therapy, Tai Chi, yoga, mindfulness, nutrition classes, you name it, anything that can help the patient and their whole family get through this is now provided free of charge.
Wow, that is really impressive.
It's very nice.
And such important, people might downplay the sense of being calm during the pressure of, but it's got to help with your health.
Exactly. Reiki is a very popular, I don't know what.
We actually, I was trying to be open-minded, did the Reiki.
Did the Reiki.
Did the Reiki. I don't think that's like really the proper verb, but
energy. I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's sort of like a laying of hands on the head, and there's a lot of it I don't understand, but as I said, who doesn't like to have their head touched? It's very calming, and just this sense these wonderful people who were giving it were putting so much love onto you too, it was very soothing, and it just felt like you weren't alone. And both my daughter and I had it, and we had it once. We're like, that was good. We were big. She was a big user of the art supplies, though.
Well, but
among other
let's
things.
back up because they don't know about your daughter yet.
So I started doing the Prouty about in 2006, I think, just because it was this wonderful event in the Upper Valley. And then in started the rowing event in 2011, and then my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. So at 14, her freshman year in high school, and was treated at the cancer center successfully. She's been cancer-free for 7 years.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, not
Yes,
wood.
I usually knock on my head, but
Okay.
that works too.
That's what the Reiki's for, isn't it? No.
Right, right. So we experienced firsthand what those patient services were. And it is a remarkable thing to feel like you have this support group that's not just clinical around you. And also, come to find out, you spend a lot of time in the hospital, long hours on chemotherapy, and without a lot of energy to do much. She still managed to get through high school. I have no idea how. She missed a lot of class, but so we spent a lot of time. She's as I like to say, a compulsive sculptor of tiny things. And this got mentioned one day, and whew, there appears clay, you know, in multiple colors. And I still have a collection of the tiny things that she sculpted during that time. So yeah, it does matter.
Wait, say that again. A compulsive
sculptor of tiny things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Little teeny tiny, nothing bigger than like that.
Yeah, my brother was terminally ill, so throughout his childhood, he was always in the hospital. You know, the whole life of the family is around the hospital. So it's interesting to have an organization that supports you. My parents were doing that isolated. You know, it must be great to have that support.
Well, it turns out that in 2018, there were 26,000 instances of patients taking advantage of all of these support opportunities.
Just in the Norris Cotton.
Just in Norris Cotton Cancer Center.
Wow.
Now,
I'm sorry to hear that, but that's an impressive
people
amount
go to
of
multiple
support.
classes and they do multiple support groups. But Norris Cotton Cancer Center, if I may, is one of, I guess it just changed to 50. I'm never going to get the numbers right. One of 50 comprehensive cancer centers, which is a designation by the National Cancer Institute. So there's only 50 of these in the country, and you have to go through hoops to be awarded the designation. And that means you excel in research, outreach, education, and care. So we're very honored to have that designation. We've had it for like 30 years. We were one of the first. But we also are committed to bringing our very specialized care and the research that we do to our, what they call a catchment area, which is where do your patients come from? And basically we serve New Hampshire and Vermont. We serve Maine as well, but the vast majority of our patients come from
the entire state?
The entire 2 states and some of western, northern Massachusetts, and it's a very well-known cancer center. But we have a total of 6 regional centers that are all named Norris Cotton. So we have one in Bennington, Vermont, one in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, one in Nashua, Manchester, Keene, and of course we call the mothership Lebanon. And then we have partner hospitals where our docs go once a week or twice a week, and they see patients much closer to home.
And does the Prouty help support all those, or just Lebanon? And that's amazing.
So if we've been able to supply patient services in the regional centers, it's through the Prouty money. Excellent. So donations matter. Philanthropy matters. Every $25 that people donate makes a difference.
So is it done in the traditional way, like I'm going to participate, I'm going to row the Prouty, I'm going to go find sponsors. So does every athlete find sponsors? Is that how the money is raised?
Yes, for the most part, yeah. People also themselves donate generously because they're moved to do so, but there's a fundraising amount, a minimum for the various events, and by age, but you're encouraged, obviously, to find as many sponsors and raise as much money as you can.
So since no one has come to me and said, hey, will you sponsor me? Can I go onto the Prouty website and just make a donation?
Yes, you can.
Yes, but you could make it to Karen Reynolds.
Oh,
you could find Karen's page.
I can find a page
you can look
of a person that
Donna, we would be honored.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Great. So, I see. This is let's see. Let's see if what it says is fight cancer, bike, walk, row, and golf. So I want to segue there to all the different activities? Do they all happen the same weekend? Is it throughout the season?
No,
Tell
it's
me
all
about,
one day.
It's all in one day.
It's all one day.
Oh
So
my
once
gosh.
upon a time, there were 4 nurses who rode 100 miles on their bicycle and for the first time in 1982. And then in 92, they added a walk. And so what's happened
Because they were
is-
getting older.
Well, that's right. I'm sure they added shorter distances. So what happens? Not everybody can do 100 miles, so they added a 50 or an 80. I mean, it's gone through some iterations. But the first walk was in 92, and then we added a wooded walk in 2005. So the gorgeous trails, the Storrs, Oak Hill Trails near Storrs Pond in Hanover. And I should say that the whole event takes place at the Richmond Middle School in Hanover in the summer on July 13th. And the field has tents on it, and everybody can eat and drink and have entertainment and food. And inside the school, people can check in and get bib numbers and things like that. But we've taken, everything is there. So you can, so in 2005, we added the wooded walk. And then in 2011, Karen and her cohort said, oh, please, couldn't we just row?
Well, it was also at a time when the roads were getting maxed out and there was a cap on the number of cyclists. So it was, how can we expand this without adding more cyclists? What else can we do? And it wasn't my idea. I'm not taking credit for that. It was Jane McLaughlin. She said, let's have a rowing event. We have a big rowing community here in the Upper Valley. Let's do that. And then subsequently, golf was added when? Was golf added?
2013.
2013.
So people were horrified that we were going to go off-road when we added rowing. It was the cutest thing. So, what do you mean you're going on the river? This is a land event. And it was like, yes.
Interesting.
But
That
it's really-
that's what they're holding to.
Right?
Not, gee, we could
More
raise
is
no
better.
money for different types of athletes.
Yeah.
Different types
Well, and
of-
then we figured out if we can handle it, logistically, if you have a passion that's an outdoor passion and you want to use it to raise money for us, great, and that's when we thought up the virtual. So not only can you golf 18 holes at the Hanover Country Club
Oh, it
on
is
that
at the
Saturday, because they too felt very guilty that they were golfing and not doing the Prouty. So we said, okay, how do we do this? And we figured out how to add golf. And then now you can, if you can't be there on the day of the Prouty, if you've got work or you're traveling or you have your July vacation, you too can do the Prouty as a virtual. And you can do it
virtual
anywhere.
golf or virtual?
Virtual anything. You
This
can
is
go to a bar
fascinating.
mitzvah. You could climb the Great Wall of China. You could be
My
not
older
well.
daughter routinely sleeps through the whole thing, and that's her virtual Prouty.
Exactly. You can, if you're not well, if you're a patient and you can't do it, you can say, hey, I'm sitting in my chair healing and I want to raise money. So anything you want to do.
Interesting.
And what we do is there's different, so it's basically $150 if you're an adult.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the
Yeah.
real specifics. So what date is it?
It's July 13th.
So that's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Okay, so mid-July, July 13th. And let's say, is there still time if I wanted to be a virtual athlete and or decide I want to walk, I can sign up on your website,
You can.
which is www.
theprouty.org.
So we'll put that on the screen so that,
Wait, but I forgot an event.
oh, tell me. What
In
what am I
2008,
missing?
we added the Prouty Ultimate,
As in,
which is a 2-day, 200-mile bike ride. And that actually starts Friday the 12th
wow.
and completes Saturday the 13th.
They have a SAG car there and the
Oh,
whole,
yeah, we got the whole thing.
Oh my gosh,
And they
that's a
bike through the
serious
beautiful
bike ride.
Vermont countryside on Friday, and they do the Prouty Century route on Saturday.
I think they go up my mountain. I'm going to have to check.
Which mountain
check
is
the rate.
yours?
Well, I'd rather not give personal.
Sorry, no person.
Yeah,
No, okay.
no personal
No
stuff.
personal
But this is very exciting. So we can still sign up. We can still, and then if I'm an athlete, I need to raise $150.
Unless you're
more.
young.
Right. There's a couple of years ago we introduced different levels. So if you're 19 to 26, 24, it's $100. If you're 17 to 12, it's $50, and under that is free.
So they can participate.
So they can participate. And you keep saying athlete. You don't have to be an athlete to do this.
That's right.
It's
This
for
is
everybody.
good.
My 83 and 84-year-old parents walk the 3K residential walk
Which
very
we named
slowly.
for Audrey Prouty. It's Audrey's Walk.
Yeah.
And it's just 3K.
Oh, really?
So there's really, anybody can participate in any way they want. They can train really hard and go really hard, or they can just show up on the day and go for a nice walk, or play around to golf, or have a nice row on the river. So it's very inclusive. It tries to have something for everybody to be able to participate.
So how do the logistics of, gee, people have paid me cash, and I need to pay I don't show up with a bag of money.
Absolutely you do.
Oh, okay.
You can.
Okay.
Well,
but can I
you
do things
can-
on the website? Like just
Most people will,
pay directly?
not
to-
most. If you sign up and you get a web page online, it'll offer you the opportunity to email your address book or your best friends or your college roommates. And in that email, you can put the link to your page.
That's
and you
good.
go, hi, this is what I'm doing. I'd love your support because the Cancer Center is really good and the money stays locally and it really makes a difference. So hope you can support me. And they'll go to your page, and with their credit card, they'll donate
Make their
however much they
donation.
want. People do give cash. You can bring it in. You can mail it in. It all needs to say who it's from. If they want a taxable, a tax receipt that they've donated to this, we're a charity and we're part of the hospital's charity number. So we'd be able to. Everybody gets a thank you letter with that information
That's
in
good
it.
to know. Okay, so it's easy to give.
It is.
It's easy to collect.
Yep.
It's easy to participate. There's a level of exercise or athleticism.
Expertise at all levels.
From novice on up to, I guess, a 200 mile ride would be an expert or a
Right.
Yeah.
amateur athlete.
Right, exactly.
So this is really interesting.
And we feed people all the time.
And if I want to just be a volunteer for the day,
We would take
can
you.
Can I do a slot? Like, oh, I have 5 hours that I could give, but I can't
We have
stay there
shifts.
the whole day.
We
Okay.
need about 1,100 volunteers. So if that would be something you'd like to do, some people participate and volunteer.
So they do
So we
their
do shifts.
thing, and then
You can sign up on the website. You can pick, I want to bike, I want to walk, I want to row, I want to golf, I want to volunteer, or I want to be a virtual. You have all of those options when you go to the website.
Can you pick and choose when you're on the website? You're volunteering, or
You can say, I prefer mornings, I prefer afternoons.
That's good.
I can't carry anything, I need to sit. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are some
And
qualifiers.
there's also opportunities to volunteer in the 2 days before the event,
Oh,
because
2
it's
weeks.
a lot of setup
Oh.
involved. So if you're not there on the day, but you're there on Thursday, you could
Absolutely.
help put signs out, or sort the SAG wagon food.
yeah, that's actually more appealing to me because the idea of going to an event where there's thousands of cars and people
Oh, I
might
totally get
might
it.
intimidate some
Yeah.
people.
Oh, we
so
could use you before and after,
Oh,
especially if you're
interesting.
organized
very
or can count.
okay. Okay, everyone, do you hear that? We want you out there
We
helping the
want
Prouty.
everybody out there. And then, Karen, tell them about the Great Sag. Rowing the Connecticut River is really an experience, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country to row. And we
Oh,
last
what kind
year.
of rowing?
What?
You have to tell them what kind of rowing.
Is it
Sculling and
individual
sweeping.
sculling, or is it?
It's rowing. It's not kayaking or canoeing.
not paddling.
It's not paddling. It's although one
It's
of my
rowing.
kids that I coach high school and middle school rowing. I was saying you don't call an oar a paddle. Then they said, well, why do you say when you're rowing easy, okay, pick it up on the paddle if they're not paddles? And I'm like, that's a good one. I have to think about that.
Interesting. Always being
Great.
challenged.
Always being challenged. That's what I love
Yeah.
about kids, teenagers. So yeah, it's rowing, sculling. It's a sliding seat. They're the long boats, skinny boats you see on the river, and you have to bring your own boats. And you can row up to 15 miles. We changed it last year, and we're now staging out of Kendall Riverfront Park, which is just north of the Richmond Middle School, which is a lovely place to have it. And it's an up and back row. We row basically up to the Thetford Bridge, and for the event, we have one giant sag. Do you call it a sag stop?
We do.
I always thought sag meant stop and go.
It is.
Or
but
does
you're
it mean you're
stopping-
sagging?
You're going to stop
like
and
that
go
one
there
better.
on your way back,
Yeah.
or
Sagging.
sagging.
So we have a very legendary sag stop at the house of Jane McLaughlin, Jane and Peter McLaughlin. And we build, in the days before the event, a 52-foot-long dock and tow it up the river.
Really?
And get a temporary permit to attach it there so that people can bring their long boats off the water and onto their lawn, and we set them out in slings. And Julia Griffin, the Hanover town manager, spearheads this amazing food. It's not granola bars and Gatorade. It's eggs made to order. It's donuts from Lou's. It's fancy fruit salads and pasta salads, and I mean, pretty much anything what you can think of that you'd want to eat. And the only problem with it is it's really hard to get people to leave. They'll stay and stay. It's not like a quick let's go.
No.
It's an average 45-minute
It's
stay.
an event.
It's an
right?
event.
So,
And people
so
sit
the
on the lawn.
videographer were on the side of the bank saying, I'll catch them on the way back. They really have
They
to
might have
wait
to
a very
wait.
long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Julia is so well connected as the town manager. She's actually on our board.
Ah.
And I appreciate the fact that she is. So I imagine she probably gets some great food.
Terrific
cooks
food.
it.
And
Does
she
she
does
cook?
the cooking, and she brings her own crew. She has a lot of experience. Both her children rowed, both in high school and in college, and she was always the crew parent who organized the food. She's been feeding a lot of hungry people for
I bet.
another one of the many things she does very well.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, she's-
And we're honored to have her support.
That's good. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people, and the people who's gracious enough to host it, that must be delightful
Amazing.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like big party at our house. You know.
But you,
And and Jane McLaughlin is the one who had the idea to add the rowing, so it's even more fitting that
That's
this
nice.
is on their property.
yeah, I'm
Excellent.
sure she knew that was going to happen. I have a feeling. But you make me think that what I wanted to also do today, through the opportunity of your show, is to say thank you. The Prouty has been
Here,
supported.
you can look straight at the camera and
There we
say
go.
thank
The
you to the
Prouty
people.
has been supported by this community. And I've been here 16 years, but it's obviously been here for 38, going on 38. And we couldn't do anything without you. So you both provide the volunteer support, but you provide the participant support. You donate. The Cancer Center, Norris Cotton Cancer Center, is a different kind of cancer center because of the Prouty. The money that we've been able to raise for the Cancer Center has made it a level up, and the kinds of research that's being done there and the programs that it can provide to support its patients, it's kind of unbelievable, and it's really because of this community. So we think of it as, you know, one neighbor taking care of another neighbor. The money stays local, the docs are local, the patients are mostly local, and we're just so grateful to have your support. So
Oh, I'm glad you've
Thank
been
you.
able to say that, Jean. I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the people who are watching will appreciate
Yeah.
that. I do want to just talk about your goal, financial goal.
Yeah.
$3 million. And I was on your website, and I love those little thermometers, like how far are we up? So how is it that you've already raised $1.9 million?
know.
Is that because people have been making their donations? So we've got a ways to go.
we do.
We need another million.
We need another 6 weeks. So typically, the curve for the Prouty, it's different every year depending on circumstances, but the curve for the Prouty kind of goes like this.
Is it that time now?
It's
Yeah.
just
Everybody
about
needs to
that
kick
time.
in.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
hoping in the next 3-4 weeks. Sometimes it does it in 3 or 4 weeks. Right now, I think we still have 5 or 6. So hopefully, it'll start to do that.
So houghly this show will make people aware. Like it's time to go on
time
to
to Prouty.
www.theprouty.org.
Exactly right.
Okay, it's all
Exactly
good.
right.
Is there anything else that you think you want to tell the community about the Prouty?
I think the thank you was the most important, actually.
Aw,
yeah.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you were able to come on. If you ever want to host an episode of A Closer Look, really does not need to be me, the host. You just, you be a guest host and you bring people on and you discuss whatever you think the community needs to understand. And I hope you take advantage of it. And I want to invite anyone who's watching to be a guest host as well. This is just a half-hour episode where you sit down and chat with somebody about something of interest, something that might affect government, the community, nonprofits. I hope to see you soon. All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you
I
so
really
much,
appreciate
Donna.
Thank you.
for coming on.